Welcome to History in Your Wallet. Today we're going to explore my latest order of world banknotes. These are coming from a dealer that is new to me, and so I'm excited to dive in and see what these notes are. Some of these are a little bit tougher to find, especially on eBay nowadays. So I was really excited to grab some of these notes and be able to share them with you. And we're going to start with this early dollar note from the Bahamas. This is issued in 1974. So it was their third series of banknotes under the new dollar currency. And it features a lovely portrait of Queen Elizabeth II here on the left, some very nice green coloring, as well as a nice gradient in the center going from yellow over to kind of a reddish purple. And if you check out the watermark in the right field here, it is a shell. It looks kind of like a conch shell or maybe a whelk. But as we turn it over to the reverse, it goes from beautiful to just striking. Look at the colors on this banknote here. This shows an underwater sea. Numista labels it a sea Gordon, but it really looks like a coral reef with some flowers over here on the left. And the coloring is just amazing. It is a beautiful banknote to look at. It really captures the beauty of the Bahamas. And so when I saw this banknote was available for sale, certainly not very cheap, but I was thrilled to grab it and add it to my collection. I was also very excited to get these next few banknotes from the nation of Ghana. I've been trying to put together a set of the early banknotes of the nation with the cedi denomination. And so this one here is a one cedi issued in 1979. Features the portrait of a man here on the obverse, as well as some beautiful lathe work and patterns here in the center. And as we turn it over to the reverse, this is what I really love about these early series of banknotes from Ghana. It shows a scene of a man weaving a basket. And a lot of these banknotes just picture different aspects of life within the nation. And I really like when banknotes show you what culture is like. Their banknotes are meant to represent the nation. And so seeing an active, dynamic scene like this is really cool. And so I was really happy when I was able to add this one to my collection. The next banknote from Ghana is a 10 cedis note issued in 1984. And the three men here on the face of this note are revolutionaries with the revolution that occurred in 1981, as you can see labeled there on the bottom. So an interesting note with these men, as well as the purple color scheme. It is very well done. But as we turn it over to the reverse, this scene is what draws me to this note. And it shows people going into a rural bank, which is labeled on this building back here. And a lot of times with world banknotes, you will see a central bank vignette, but not very often that you actually see people going into a bank, and especially a local bank like this. And it seems very fitting that a banknote would feature a vignette like this. And I was glad to see that and happy to add it to my collection. The last note from Ghana that I will show you all today from this order is a 1000 cedis note issued in 1999. So this is the smaller size type and it has some gems here on the face of the note, some pretty lathe work around the design. Not the most exciting design in the world, but it's the reverse that I find the most interesting. And it's a scene of men harvesting cacao pods. So chopping them off the tree here, cutting them open to reveal the beans inside. And there are a lot of banknotes from Ghana that feature the cacao harvest. And so it's pretty cool to add this one to my collection. We're going to travel to Europe, to the Crown Dependency of Gibraltar. This is a 1988 £1 banknote. It is the last of this particular type. Very beautiful red coloring here. As we turn it over to the reverse, we see a government building. And this type gets more expensive the earlier it goes. And so finding a less expensive option was the route that I decided to take. But I was happy to add this type to my collection as I try and find more portraits of Queen Elizabeth. Speaking of which, this note from Jersey fits in with that theme. We can see a lovely portrait of the Queen on the face of the note. This is a £1 banknote, which is also a circulating commemorative. So it honors the 800th anniversary of Jersey coming under control of the crown. And you can see that labeled on the face of the note. Very nice green. And as we turn it over to the reverse, it has a unique design. different from the typical 1 pound notes of Jersey. And you can see this castle here, which in and of itself deserves its own video. It is a very cool castle and also ties into World War II history with these battlements here on the top. But there's just lovely background to this with some heraldry, possibly a scepter of some kind, maybe a coin. Just a really cool note that I'll have to do some more research into and learn more about this castle, but a very well done banknote for Jersey's commemorative year. Next, we're going to travel to Malawi in Africa. This is a 20 kwacha note issued in 1997. It features the Reverend Chilembwe, and I apologize for that pronunciation. He's featured on a lot of the banknotes from the nation of Malawi. He's also the watermark over on the left of the note. But as we turn it over to the reverse, it is this scene of a tea harvest that really drew me to this particular note. Somewhat of an unusual idea for a vignette, although, of course, agriculture themes are very common. So seeing something like this was cool, and I was happy to add it to my collection. And I'll have to do some more research into how they're harvesting tea in the nation of Malawi. We're going to travel from a very warm climate to a slightly cooler climate in Iceland. This is a 100 kronor note. It is dated 1957, but it was actually issued in the early 60s. And so there is a portrait of a gentleman here on the face of the note. I'll have to do some more research into that. Kind of a simple landscape scene here beneath the text. But as we turn it over to the reverse, it is this very simple design that I find to be the most striking. So it appears to be men herding sheep through maybe a mountain pass with a volcano or something in the background. There's just no text other than 100 and a small word here. It is very simple and something that is not crowded by a lot of lettering, too much scroll work or lathe work, that can detract from the design. I was really happy when I saw this note for sale and glad to add it to my collection. The next note is from the nation of Tanzania. This is a 50 shilingi note featuring their president at the time on the face. This was issued in the 1980s, although it is not dated. This particular type is pretty scarce compared to other designs from Tanzania at that time. What sets this one apart as its own type, as we turn it over to the reverse, is the inclusion of these two islands here on the map of Tanzania. So earlier types that featured this same design omitted those two islands. This one included them, and it's definitely less common than the without islands type. This vignette, though, is also very interesting. It shows men making bricks. So a very active and dynamic vignette. Let's check out the watermark here, and it is the head of a giraffe. So a really cool banknote from Tanzania. Oop, I was wrong. We have one more note from Ghana. This is a larger size banknote. It is a 20 cedis from 1982. And you can see a minor on the face of the note, as well as some very nice coloring and lathe work here in the center. And as we turn it over to the reverse, another active scene of a man weaving. Looks like he might be using some kind of a loom, a pedal loom, possibly. So very cool. I'll have to do some more research into what type of loom this is. But weaving is a fairly common vignette across world banknotes, and that might have to be a theme that I focus on in future videos. Let's also check out the watermark, and it is the head of an eagle over here on the right. So very cool. And then our last banknote that will feature in this video from this particular order here is another note from Malawi. It is a 100 kwacha note issued in 2001. So it is a larger size note with the Reverend again featured on the face. He is also the watermark, as you can see again over there on the left. And then as we turn it to the reverse, we have a government building. So it is labeled here as Capitol Hill. So I'm wondering if that might be their parliament building. I do know that it is located somewhere within the nation's capital. So I have to do some more research into that, but I very much enjoy banknotes that feature government buildings. And so tell me what you think about these banknotes that I added to my collection here this month. Definitely comment below if you have any thoughts about these notes or if you'd like me to focus on certain themes from these notes in the future. Please also like and subscribe if you are enjoying the videos that I'm posting. And until next time, thanks for watching.